If you were dropped on an island with no law, no help, and everyone ready to do anything just to survive, would you still stay human or become the danger? This is the story of a place where hunger broke relationships, fear stripped away humanity, and the truth was so dangerous no one wanted to believe it. So welcome to MOVOX Range, where we don't just tell stories, we pull you into situations where every decision decides your fate. This film is based on a true story from 1929, set in the aftermath of World War I, when the global economy had completely collapsed. During that time, Dr. Ritter leaves Germany with his wife and settles on a remote island. Living there, he believes that only in isolation can a person truly understand their real existence, where there's no pretense. He begins writing philosophical works about how to start a new life and how to survive in the world. In his books, he also describes his solitary life on the island. Passing ships carry his writings with him. His ideas and stories start getting published in newspapers, and people around the world begin to admire them. Slowly, his isolation itself becomes his identity, and people start seeing it as a mysterious lifestyle. Some even begin to follow it. Among his admirers, a couple, Hans and his wife, leave everything behind and move to the island with their son. This happens in 1932, about 3 years after Dr. Ritter arrived. They have no idea that this decision is about to change their lives forever. The couple arrives and meets Ritter and his wife, but it's clear they're not happy to see them. Still, Hans believes Dr. Ritter will be impressed by him. Sensing their irritation, Hans tries to win him over, saying he's deeply influenced by his philosophy. There's hope on his face, like he's seeking approval from a mentor. He explains that Ritter's ideas have become famous worldwide, and inspired by that, he left everything behind to come here. He and his wife are huge admirers, but even after hearing this, Dr. Ritter shows no excitement. Instead, while showing them around the island, he explains that surviving here is not easy at all. He warns them that wild animals are a constant threat, and there are only 2 sources of water on the island. His tone carries a quiet warning, like he already sees what's coming. Small natural springs collect rainwater. Then, Ritter loads their belongings onto his wife's donkey and drops them near a cave at the top of a hill. He tells them clearly he cannot offer them a place in his camp. His behavior makes one thing obvious. On this island, everyone fights their own battle. He adds that if they've come here, they'll have to arrange their own living situation. Before leaving, he tells them to return his wife's donkey before sunset. That night, we see Dr. Ritter and his wife talking to each other. In the darkness, their conversation feels unsettling, almost like they're hiding something. Ritter's wife mocks the newcomers, saying she has no idea what those fools were thinking coming here. She insists they can never live like them. She says eventually, they'll come begging for help, and she's already annoyed by the thought. Ritter laughs and says that's exactly why he left them up there, near that upper storage area where bodies rot. He adds that if they spend the night in that cold, they won't survive till morning. There's something dangerous in his laughter, something quiet but deeply unsettling. On the other side, Hans and his wife begin working day and night, trying to turn their shelter into a home. They decide to collect rainwater for drinking. They dig a large pit in the ground and place cut bamboo inside it so the rainwater can be stored and used. They don't realize yet the real test has just begun, and this island is about to challenge them at every step. Whatever collected through the bamboo was funneled down into the pit below. Slowly, they try to ease their struggles piece by piece, but Hans's wife, Margaret, hates living here. At night, the sounds of wild animals and large insects keep her awake. The condition Dieter left them in feels harsh and unforgiving. The temperature drops sharply after dark. With every passing night, her fear deepens, like the darkness itself is closing in on her. Breathing starts to feel difficult. Somehow, they manage to light a fire just to make the place livable. Days pass like this, until one day, Margaret tells Hans her period is 3 months late. It means she's pregnant. Hans is overjoyed when he hears this, but Margaret isn't. There's more fear than happiness in her eyes, because she knows this place isn't safe for a new life. She doesn't want to bring a child into an environment like this. The next day, both of them head into a mountain forest, searching for food, and then they hear a gunshot in the distance. The sound tears through the silence of the island, like something unknown has just entered their world. Ritter looks through his binoculars and realizes someone else has arrived on the island. It makes him furious. He came here to live in complete isolation. It turns out a woman named Eloise has arrived with 2 companions. Their presence begins to disturb the balance of the island, like the start of something bigger. They brought a servant with them, and the moment they arrive, they start celebrating. When Ritter and his wife return home, Eloise's 2 companions carry their chair on their shoulders and place it right in front of them. Eloise introduces herself to Ritter's wife, saying she comes from a wealthy family and has traveled here to meet the famous Dr. Ritter. Just then, Ritter steps forward. Seeing him, Eloise stands up and begins praising him. She says she's always wanted to meet the man who walked away from the world to build his own empire. There's something off in her tone. Less admiration, more obsession. It makes everyone uncomfortable. She claims she's praised him in front of powerful people, even presidents and governors, and says he even had all his teeth removed to start a new life. She tells him that on this island, he's free from infection, free to move forward and write philosophy that could change the world. Dieter questions her, because now, it's no longer just about survival on this island. It's about clashing intentions. He asks them where they plan to stay. She says they've decided to set up camp near the shoreline. Dieter warns them there's no drinking water there. He offers to show them a better spot. The scene shifts. In the next moment, Eloise and her group are seen bathing in a pond, laughing and enjoying themselves. Their carelessness is obvious, like they have no idea what this place is capable of. Hans and his wife rush over and immediately scold them, telling them to get out of the water. It turns out this is the same pond they built to collect rainwater, their only source of drinking water. Eloise apologizes and says, "I didn't know about this. I'm sorry." Then she introduces herself again and tells them they're neighbors now. She reveals her plan to build a massive resort on the island, meant only for millionaires. Hearing this, it feels like she wants to reshape this wild island into her own vision, no matter the cost. She says Rodolphe is the engineer for the project, and Robert is here as her bodyguard. Then Eloise hands over several letters, some for Hans, and others she asks him to deliver to Dr. Ritter. And with those letters, a new turn begins in the story of this island, one that could change everyone's fate. When Hans hands the letters to Dr. Ritter, Ritter notices they've already been opened. He immediately gets angry and asks why Eloise didn't give them to him directly. Hans feels insulted. Frustrated, he storms over to Eloise and asks why she even made him deliver the letters. He accuses her of trying to create conflict between them. Eloise responds by saying Britain did the same thing once. There's a sharp cunning in her tone, like she's deliberately driving a wedge between them. She adds that they were told about Hans's water source, which is why they went there and used it freely. Hearing this, Hans goes quiet, because he already knows Dr. Dieter has been bothering them for a while. A few days later, Hans and his wife are seen building their home, stacking stones together. At the same time, Eloise and her group arrive near their place and say they plan to set up camp right there because it's too hot by the shoreline. The distance between them starts to disappear, and with it, the risk of conflict gets closer. She assures them they won't cause any trouble, and once their resort is built, they'll leave. But behind her words, something else is hidden, slowly waiting to surface. She says they won't rely on their water source for long, because soon Rolf, the engineer, will find a new one. Days pass. Rudolph works non-stop, digging day and night, but he can't find any water. The failure frustrates him deeply, and he's also angry that he has to do everything alone. Meanwhile, Eloise and Robert continue enjoying themselves. One day, Rudolph finally snaps. His frustration turns into anger, like he's about to explode. He barges into their private moment and lashes out at them. He tells Eloise bringing him here was a mistake. He reminds her he's an engineer, and she had no real plan. There's no farmland here, nothing to build on. He accuses her of wasting his time. His words hit hard. Eloise's face turns pale, and she walks off into the forest. They haven't had anything to eat for days. Hunger starts taking over. Robert and Rudolph begin watching Hans's place, waiting for a chance to steal food. Hunger pushes them to a point where the line between right and wrong starts to fade. Now, it's no longer just about survival. It's about surviving at someone else's expense. One day, Margaret starts feeling a strange pain in her stomach. She knows the time has come to give birth. She calls out loudly for Hans, but he's not around. She steps outside and screams for help. Robert and Rolf are nearby, hiding, but they don't come out. Her screams echo through the silence, but no one steps in to help her. Desperate, Margaret leaves and decides to go to Eloise's tent for help, but from behind, it's shown that the moment she leaves, they break into her home to steal food. Even after hearing her weak voice, Eloise doesn't step out of the tent. She chooses not to help. Exhausted, Margaret returns home. By the time she gets back, Robert and Rudolph have already taken the stolen food and disappeared. Now she has nothing left, no options. She spreads newspapers on the ground and prepares to give birth alone. Meanwhile, they watch her from a distance, hiding. In that moment, her helplessness and isolation reach their peak, like the entire world has turned away from her. Their cow starts making loud noises. It's the same cow they captured from the forest a few days ago, the one that's been giving them milk. Even nature seems restless, as if it's witnessing something deeply painful. As Margaret tries to manage through the pain, her body suddenly starts bleeding heavily. The scent of blood spreads, and wild dogs pick it up. They rush toward her. She has nothing to defend herself with. She grabs a broom and tries to fight them off. The pain doesn't stop, and there's no one there to help her. Every moment feels like a new kind of death, where fear and pain rise together. The struggle continues, and eventually, Margaret grows weaker. On the other side, Rudolph goes to Eloise and tells her she needs to help Margaret, but Eloise refuses. Her servant gets angry at her and says someone can't be left alone in a situation like this. He insists she has to go help her. Meanwhile, Margaret gives birth, but the wild dogs are still there, trying to get to the baby. Time seems to freeze, every second hanging on the edge of something terrible. Just before anything worse can happen, Hans and his son arrive. They manage to drive the dogs away in time. As things settle, Hans sees that his child is alive, but what just happened leaves a deep fear in everyone's hearts, something that may never go away. But Margaret's condition gets critical. After giving birth, she loses consciousness and doesn't wake up. Hans runs to Dr. Ritter, desperate, begging for help, but Ritter refuses to assist in any way. Hans is completely broken now. It shows on his face, helpless, drained, like he's lost every last bit of hope and is waiting for a miracle. Ritter's wife steps in and urges him to help. When Dr. Ritter finally reaches Margaret, he sees how bad things have gotten. The umbilical cord is still inside her body. To remove it, he asks Hans for a spoon and some hot water. Using just those two things, he performs the procedure. Margaret's condition is severe, and the process is brutal, but somehow, she survives. The scene fades, and we move forward several months. It's a moment where the line between humanity and cruelty feels blurred. Summer has taken over the island. The intense heat dries everything out, and water becomes scarce. Food is running low. This island is no longer just testing them, it's slowly breaking them. Even Ritter can't focus on writing his philosophy anymore. Eloise's group is also running out of food. Rudolph, the engineer, now weakened by hunger, comes to Hans's place asking for something to eat. Hans and Margaret feed him and treat him with kindness. It hits him. Eloise never treated him like this. For the first time, something shifts inside him. A small sense of humanity pushes him to speak the truth. He tells them everything about Eloise, that she's not from a wealthy family, she's just an ordinary poor woman. Her style, the way she talks, her knowledge, it's all picked up from books. Even the clothes she wears are borrowed. She's been living a constructed life. In her mind, she's always seen herself as a princess, and now she's trying to become one in reality. He tells them her parents left her. After that, she started working as a dancer in a club in Paris. That's where she met Robert and Rudolph. She also used to read Dr. Ritter's books. That's how she learned about this island and brought Rudolph here under the idea of building a hotel. As the truth comes out, the illusion she built for so long begins to fall apart. Now everyone starts to see the difference between what's real and what isn't. Then the scene shifts. A major Hollywood film director arrives on the island with his full crew, bringing a large supply of food for everyone. Eloise has always been fascinated by Dr. Ritter, and she had come here partly because of him. When she hears about their arrival, she feels hopeful again. To her, it looks like a new opportunity, a way to rewrite her future. She believes she can influence the director and use him to fulfill her dreams. Eloise gets dressed and goes to meet him, but the director barely pays attention to her, and she doesn't like that. That night, a party is held on the island. The director thanks Dr. Ritter for his philosophical contributions and praises his courage for starting a life alone on the island. He also acknowledges the birth of the first child on the island. After the party ends, everyone heads back. Later, Eloise realizes something. They didn't come here to make a film. They just came to celebrate, and they're leaving in the morning. In that moment, her hopes collapse completely, like everything she believed in just slid away. All that's left now is emptiness. Time is running out for Eloise. She approaches the director again, trying to charm him, but he makes it clear he has no interest in her. When she tells him she's struggling with isolation on the island, he suddenly laughs and says now he understands. She's not from any wealthy family. She's just pretending to be one. There's mockery in his voice, and it shatters everything she's been holding on to. He tells her that what she's done, no woman from a real wealthy background would ever do, and if she thinks he's going to take her off this island, she's completely wrong. With that, he walks away. Hearing the same truth from someone else breaks her completely. She had hoped that even if she couldn't stay with him, she could at least leave the island on his ship and return to a normal life, escape the hunger, the thirst, everything. But the next morning, she wakes up to find the ship is already gone, and just like that, she falls into despair. There's no way out anymore. Reality has closed in from every side. Her dream, her illusion, her hope, everything ends on that island. This is the first time her wish doesn't come true. When Dr. Ritter wakes up, he sees that Eloise has stolen everything the Hollywood director left behind for him. He's furious. He walks straight to Eloise and tells her she has to choose him or her place here. Things have fallen apart to the point where every relationship is on edge, like only one side can survive now. He says she's been causing trouble and he can't take it anymore. Eloise fires back, saying she stood by him even when he didn't like her. Ritter responds coldly, then what are we waiting for? Let's settle this. Both sides grab their rifles and head to Eloise's camp. They demand their food back. Eloise refuses. She mocks them, asking if they really think Ritter would ever share his food. This isn't just about food anymore. It's about pride and survival. Ritter raises his gun. Robert raises his too. The tension in the air turns heavy, like one wrong move could end everything. Just before things spiral out of control, before someone gets killed, Margaret steps in and stops them, telling everyone to go back. When Ritter returns home, he's consumed by anger. He can't write anymore, can't even think straight. In a burst of rage, he smashes his typewriter and tells Dora he won't die of hunger. Something inside him has snapped. Now, it's only about survival. He says he's going hunting. Dora reminds him they're vegetarians, that he doesn't care anymore. He just wants food, whatever he can find. Meanwhile, Rudolph returns to Hans's place again. Hans treats him kindly and gives him food. As he eats, Eloise calls out to him from outside. She gives him food too, and hands back his clothes. She tells him if he wants to leave, he can go. Rudolph's eyes fill with tears. Even in this chaos, a few people are still holding on to their humanity. He tells her that if she ever needs anything, just let him know. The scene shifts. It's midnight now. The silence feels different, like the calm before something breaks. Hans and Dora are at home when they hear strange noises outside. He assumes it's thieves and steps out with his rifle, but no one is there. He fires a warning shot into the air, but it accidentally hits Dr. Ritter's wife's donkey. The intruder still escapes. That one mistake makes everything worse, like fate itself is turning against them. Hans is shaken. He goes back inside and tells Margaret they will talk about this. The next morning, Ritter's wife wakes up to find all her chickens are sick and the donkey is gone. Ritter's family comes over, demanding answers. They ask Hans if he had anything to do with it. He denies everything, saying he knows nothing about the donkey or the chickens. While they argue, they realize someone is secretly listening nearby. Apart from them, the only others on the island are Eloise's group. Suspicion turns into certainty. Now, the conflict takes a new shape. Both sides decide to go after Eloise and put their differences aside. On the way, they run into Rudolph. This alliance is no longer about revenge, it's about survival. When they threaten Rudolph, he breaks. He admits the truth. He took the donkey on Eloise's orders. He apologizes and promises he won't do anything like that again. He says he just wants to get out of this nightmare. Ritter and Hans believe him and bring him into their group. There's fear and regret in his voice, like he wants out of this dangerous game. Together, they head toward Eloise to confront her. They shout for her to come out, but Robert steps out instead and attacks immediately. He overpowers Rudolph and pins him down, holding him so he can't escape. He's about to stab something sharp into Rudolph's mouth, but before he can, Hans grabs him from behind, walking his arm around his neck and lifting him off the ground. In that moment, everything hangs by a second, and then Hans stabs him. Robert dies. Right after, Eloise steps out and starts a new story. She claims Robert used to beat her. Now, the line between truth and lies is completely blurred, and everyone is just trying to survive their own way. She says says Robert forced himself on her. Everything she did, she claims, was under his orders. She hugs Hans and tells him to trust her, says it's a good thing Robert is dead, and now she'll make both of them equal partners in her resort. But Hans and Ritter already know the truth. They don't believe her. Ritter pulls the trigger and shoots her dead. That single shot ends everything, like there's no way back now. They don't realize the gunshot echoes across the island, and Margaret hears it too. Meanwhile, the two men start planning to hide what they've done. They decide to carry both bodies and throw them off the cliff into the ocean. The next day, they put another plan in motion and call Rudolph over. He arrives and gives them a false story that Eloise and Robert have left the island, and they handed over a letter before leaving. Margaret doesn't buy it. She knows Eloise would never leave her belongings behind. Suspicion turns into certainty, and the truth starts surfacing. She tells Hans she heard the gunshot. She says she knows the truth, that both of them are dead, and Ritter killed them. Now, there's no hiding it anymore. Every lie is about to break. She warns Hans, do you really think Ritter is your friend now? No, he used you. She says when the police come, he'll turn on you and use you to get himself off this island, because he wants it all to himself. On the other side, Ritter's wife is shown, deeply disturbed by his behavior getting worse day by day. Today, she finally tells him she's leaving him, says he's ruined her life. She reminds him he came here to write philosophy, but instead dragged her into conflict with neighbors. Her words carry years of anger and pain that can't be held back anymore. Ritter fires back, asking if she can't see their situation, says the lack of resources is because of the others. Furious, she walks away. On the way, she runs into Margaret. Margaret asks her if she knows what really happened to Eloise. She tells her Ritter killed her and her companion. Even though she left in anger, Ritter's wife refuses to believe it. She says Ritter would never hurt anyone, but somewhere deep inside, doubt has already taken root. On the other side, Rudolph sits alone by the shoreline, lost in thought. Then he spots a boat in the distance. He immediately signals for help. The captain sees him and throws out a life ring. Rudolph swims toward it and is finally rescued. After a year, it feels like he's escaped death itself, like a new life is waiting for him. Ritter watches him leave, and something shifts in his mind. For the first time in a while, he feels inspired. He tells his wife he has a new idea, something great he wants to write. She's happy too, suggests they celebrate. She says she'll prepare chicken for him. Ritter agrees and returns to his work. We see her cook meat from one of the sick chickens and serve it to him. As he eats, his condition suddenly worsens. His face turns pale, then bluish. His body starts reacting violently. It's a silent revenge, one that doesn't need noise to make its impact. Fate has made its move, and there's no escaping it. Overall, his body begins to swell. Seeing his condition collapse, his wife rushes to call Hans. Margaret takes one look and realizes it's food poisoning. Ritter is too weak to even speak. He's on the edge of death. With his last breath, he curses Dora and then dies. They bury him right there. Months pass. Then the police arrive on the island to investigate. His death changes everything. Now everyone is under suspicion. The police first detain Hans and tell him something shocking. Ritter had accused him of Eloise's murder in letters he sent back to Germany. When Ritter's wife is questioned, she also gives a statement against Hans. But when Margaret is questioned, she firmly denies it, says Hans did nothing wrong. Instead, she claims Ritter was the one responsible, and Dora is the real killer. She explains Ritter died of food poisoning caused by the chicken Dora fed him. She insists the chickens she gave Dora were healthy. Now, the final battle between truth and lies begins, where every statement matters. The outcome won't depend on people anymore, but on evidence and fate. F.E. Dora still has the healthy chickens, while the sick ones are gone. It proves she deliberately fed Ritter the infected meat. With no evidence against Hans, the police decide to leave him and his family on the island and take Dora with them. In the end, it's revealed that Dora spends the rest of her life in Germany and dies in 1943. Before her death, she writes a book about her time on the island, and it becomes widely successful. Her story ends, but the questions she leaves behind remain. In her book, she makes several accusations against Margaret and her family. In response, Margaret writes her own book. Eventually, Margaret and her family continue living on the island and build a small resort there. Tourists still visit it today. It's also revealed that Rudolph's ship later sank in the ocean after running out of fuel, and he died as well. In the final moments, we see Margaret living on the island until old age, until she passes away. And at the very end, we're shown the small Margaret resort standing there. The film ends right there. The island falls silent, holding every story within it, but its memories and its mysteries never fade. This wasn't just an island. It was a place where humanity, greed, lies, and the true fight for survival collided. Every character was running from their truth, but in the end, that same truth stood right in front of them. Think about it. If you were on that island, would you make it out alive or become just another story? And if you don't want to miss more mysterious, mind-bending stories like this, hit subscribe to MOVOX Range right now, because the next story might be even more dangerous.